All right, you guys, welcome. I hope I don't have feedback here. I think I might. Give me just a minute. Okay. All right, you guys. You know what? This is not. I'm going to do my best. I don't know why I'm getting feedback, though. So I'm going to do the best I can here, and we will get you guys an amazing show. So today we're going to talk about, well, that's not added. Okay, so I see what it's doing. All right. I'm adding me to here. I guess I'm adding me to the stage. What I'm going to add to the stage is an introduction, and I'm going to talk about, maybe I don't need to be here. Oh, you know what? I'm going to present me over here. How about that? Whoa, we don't need this. Why do we have this? I don't want this one. Remove. Yeah, stop that. Okay, so I'm just going to leave it like this, guys. This is going to be a presentation on basically, well, we're going to do a Donald Trump slide. Okay, so let me get over here, and I need to move some things around here and get ready for you guys. This is how this here is. All right, so we're going to talk about the hidden world of Donald Trump and his trusts. Okay, today we're going to talk about his trusts, Donald Trump's trusts, the secrets, conflicts, and the political implications of those. So let me just adjust a couple things here for you guys so that you can see everything, and I can see everything great. Okay, perfect. One sip of the tea before we get started, because this is amazing. It's amazing and hot, but it's spearmint or peppermint or something. It's minty something. Okay, so I'm assuming, can you guys see me okay? Can somebody make a comment in the comment section that you guys can see me and you guys can hear me and everything's good? Because I don't want to start this stream and get it going if I'm not even, okay, cool. All right, so moving on, I'm going to get the script right here so we can see it. All right, cool. And so trusts, they are the backbone to, whoops, I didn't mean to do that. I don't even know how I did that. Sorry, JC. JC doesn't even know what happened. Probably just popped up. You just popped up on the screen under exclusive equity. I don't even know what that was. Anyway, trusts are the backbone of estate planning and asset protection. So what happens when a trust is involved with one of the most polarizing figures in modern history, like Donald Trump? Today, we're going to get into the intricate web of trusts and the Trump organization. So buckle up, and it's going to be an entertaining ride. But before we do that, we got a Tostito.
The following program contains mature content and is the truth. No part herein is intended to be legal advice and is for entertainment purposes only. Audience discretion is advised.
A mint leaf. Love it. Anyways, so a trust is a fiduciary arrangement that allows a third party or a trustee to hold assets on behalf of a beneficiary. Essentially, it's like asking someone to hold your beer, but with a little more legal jargon and a few drunken mishaps. Fewer drunken mishaps. There's three main players in a trust, and that's the truster who creates the trust, the trustee who manages the trust, and the beneficiary who benefits from the trust. Simple, right? Now, the Trump organization, let's move over here. Okay, so don't mind the spelling on this. I got some help with these, and they're spelled wrong, so definitely not mine. But it gets the idea. You got an idea of that there is a diagram here. The Trump organization, it's a sprawling business empire with interests in real estate, hotels, golf courses, and branding. And when Donald Trump assumed the presidency, the potential conflicts of interest were as abundant as his tweets. So what did he do? He formed a trust, of course, because that's the go-to solution for all presidential dilemmas. The Trump organization, with its wide-ranging business interests, posed numerical potential conflicts of interest when Trump became the president. The Emoluments Clause of the U.S. Constitution, which prohibits federal officials from receiving gifts or payments from foreign states without congressional consent, became a focal point of debate. Critics argued that Trump's continued ownership of his business empire, even though a trust, could lead to violations of this clause. High-profile cases such as foreign dignitaries staying at Trump hotels exemplified these concerns. The Clinton Foundation controversies, and let's move on. I'm going to move on these slides here. So these are just conflicts of interest and just points that you can follow along with that are helpful. So the Clinton Foundation controversies faced similar scrutiny over potential conflicts of interest during Hillary Clinton's tenure as the Secretary of State. Donations from foreign governments and entities raised questions about the influence of donors on U.S. policies. The Kennedy's family trusts, Kennedy's family, one of the political dynasties, used trusts to manage their wealth and political interests. The Kennedy Trust, which is established by Joseph P. Kennedy, served as a financial and political tool, illustrating the intersection of business and politics. Under the intense glare of public and political pressure, Donald Trump decided to place his business assets into trust. His legal counsel, Sherry Dillon, stepped in and making it sound as if placing assets in a trust was the equivalent of locking them in Fort Knox. Spoiler alert, it wasn't. The trust was structured with Donald Jr., Eric Trump, and Alan Weisselberg as trustees, a real family affair. The decision in Trump's business assets into a trust came amid escalating concerns over potential conflicts of interest. Public and political pressures, they mounted as Trump transitioned from businessman to president, raising questions about how his vast business empire could influence his decisions in the office. In a bid to quell the controversy, the trust was formed, a move that was both praised and criticized. Now, again, I told you guys everything is a trust. Everything is a trust. So everything that we're doing is a trust, and we are we're creating trust indentures, whether they are expressed, meaning they're written, or not. If you don't express them, meaning they're just constructive trusts, you're just doing something. Like I give you $1 and you give me an ice cream. That's a trust, right? I mean, it's just expected. We don't say, hey, you need to fill out this form to make sure that that's a valid dollar. We already have this thing that's established, and that's the trust indenture, I guess, that's unspoken. This green thing that is an IOU that belongs to the Federal Reserve Bank is going to also suffice to exchange something of value, because you don't realize that there's no value to that. And maybe I don't either. So if that's the case, then we end up in these situations. Okay, so the trust was structured to include Donald Trump's son, Donald Jr., and Eric, along with Trump's organization's chief financial officer, Alan Weisselberg. Like, they made these the trustees, and that's how this schedule arises. Okay, so that's how you guys can arrive at this. We can see how they arrived at this schedule. The forming the trust involved navigating a complex legal framework, federal regulations, ethical guidelines. They all necessitated careful compliance to ensure that the trust's legitimacy existed. Sherry Dillon, again, Trump's legal counsel, structured this to meet the requirements, although debates about adequacy continued. The creation of Obama Foundation, moving on, is after leaving office, Barack Obama established the Obama Foundation to manage his post-presidency activities. The foundation's efforts to comply with federal regulations and ethical guidelines offer a contrast to controversies surrounding Trump's trust. Then we have also the Rockefeller family trusts, which are known for their immense wealth and philanthropy. They utilize trust to manage their business and philanthropic activities. So that trust served as a model for balancing business interests with ethical considerations. And that's all subjective because many times the ethics to you is not going to be ethical to someone else, or business interest that is balanced to you is not going to be balanced to somebody else. There is equitable, but there's also balancing interests, and maybe somebody has a third of something or a tenth of something. So many times when those things are delved up, it's just a model. It is not going to hold any weight when it comes to things because every trust is different. You can say, hey, this trust is going to have one beneficiary. Some people have 4 or 5 kids. So how can you say one beneficiary unless you're really cruel? Like you have to have like no lower chakras at all. Okay. So we're going to pretend like these are people with chakras that exist. Okay. All of them. So potential conflicts of interest were a dime a dozen. And Trump continued financial ties to the businesses while serving as president. And, well, it's like having your cake and eating it too, except the cake is $1 billion empire. Ethical watchdogs and political opponents weren't impressed. The general public, let's just say reactions were mixed, ranging from who cares to this is the end of democracy as we know it. Many don't even know that democracy is the gateway to serfdom, to being slaves, slavery. The potential conflicts of interest posed by Trump's financial ties to his business were significant, with holding various sectors, including real estate, hospitality, and entertainment. Trump's policy decisions could directly and indirectly benefit his business empire. High-profile cases like foreign dignitaries staying at Trump hotels or the use of Trump properties for government functions exemplified these concerns. Critics pointed out to specific instances where Trump's businesses appeared to benefit from his position, like hosting of events at Trump properties by political allies and foreign governments. So a little bit of mix of everything. Ethical considerations of trust arrangement were rampant. Organizations like Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington, that's called CREW, by the way, in case anybody's missing out on what Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington is like, highlighted the inadequacy of the trust in preventing conflicts of interest. The critics argued that the arrangement allowed Trump to remain financially tied to his business, undermining the intent to separate his presidential duties from his business interests. The lack of transparency in the trust's operation and the close involvement of Trump's family members further fueled these criticisms. You guys see what's going on with all that stuff happening now. The reactions from the public, legal experts, and political opponents were varied. Ethics watchdogs were vocal in their disapproval, while Trump supporters viewed the trust as, well, a reasonable solution to a complex issue, right? Just call it off on and label it as something. Legal challenges and public debates followed, reflecting polarized views on Trump's handling of his business affairs while he was in office. Public opinion was divided, with some viewing the trust was a necessary step and others seeing it as insufficient to address ethical concerns. So the controversy surrounding Jared Kushner's real estate business, let's talk about that. Jared Kushner, Trump's son-in-law, he's a senior advisor. Trump's senior advisor faced scrutiny over his real estate business while he served in the White House. And his involvement in the Kushner companies raised questions about potential conflicts of interest and influences of his business activities on policy decisions. So whether policies that were within the business were going to affect his business decisions, because obviously when you're making decisions on multi-million-dollar things that affect other maybe financial stocks and things, and you have maybe an interest in those financial stocks, or maybe you have stocks in a company that you're making decisions on, then that can be a conflict. Well, it's not can be, it is a conflict of interest. So Hillary Clinton had paid speeches to Wall Street firms. And during her presidential campaign, Hillary faced criticism for her paid speeches to Wall Street firms. Critics argued that these engagements created potential conflicts of interest and questioned her ability to regulate the financial sector impartially. So let's talk about now this trust in operation. And I'm going to show you guys the next slide here. All right. I'm kind of getting lucky, but it's okay. Oops. I didn't get lucky on this one. I just did something I shouldn't have done. Yeah, you guys are going to have to give me just a second. Oh my gosh, I just closed this file and I don't know where it is. And this is not it. Oh, there it is. Okay, so we're back in business. All right. We're going to talk about how this trust operated, or some might say how it didn't. Managing the day-to-day operations of the Trump organization was a challenge. Notable decisions made by the trustees often raised eyebrows, and not in a good way. Financial performance during the Trump's presidency, well, let's just say there were some interesting business deals and transactions. The trust faced numerous operational challenges. The trustees, Donald Jr., Eric Trump, and Alan Weisselberg, were tasked with managing Trump's operations, vast portfolio. So there's a whole bunch of trust duties. Key decisions like international business deals and new projects were part of that. They often sparked controversy. Critics questioned whether these decisions were truly independent of Trump's influence. The trustees' management style and strategic choices were often scrutinized, with some arguing that the trust's operations lacked transparency and accountability. These are all very key issues in trust. Okay, so I mean, think about it. If you don't have transparency and accountability in your marriage, are you going to trust your wife or husband? Okay, period. It just is what it is. If there's not, I mean, you don't have to know everything. Well, some people do, but you don't have to. If you do, then you may want to seek help yourself, because you have something that you're missing that you need to have compensated for, because you need to know where another human being is all the time. And that's not healthy for anyone, not you or them. So analyzing the financial performance of the Trump organization during the presidency reveals a mixed picture. While some properties flourished, others struggled, and the trust management of assets and the impact of Trump's policies on businesses were scrutinized. Notable transactions like the sale of Trump property in the Dominican Republic and the development of new projects highlighted the ongoing entanglement of Trump's business and political interests. And reports on the financial health of the Trump organization varied, with some sources citing profits and others pointing out financial difficulties. Now, you guys know that there's a book, a publication that came out in, I believe, 1902 called The Last President. And it was about Barron Trump. And it was about Barron Trump being the last president. Interesting. And so there's been a whole lot of legal quagmire and such that there isn't a president, or there hasn't been a president. Well, that's because he's the last president. And they told us a long time ago, when the book came out in 1902, what was going to happen. So let me just tell you guys an interesting piece of history. 1902 was the reset. You can't find any history before 1902. You can find history, but you can't find records or pictures from the year between 1902 to like 1890 something, because that was during a cataclysmic event time, and there's no records. You can find stuff that existed after that about that time, but it's just people hearsay. There's no pictures. They don't have any pictures. But before that, they have pictures. and after that they have pictures. And you can look in the New York Times, the front covers. Go look through the ancient New York Times. Well, I say ancient. It's antique now, right? It's if you go look in the 18 like 90 something to 1902, all of a sudden in 1902 pictures start appearing again. Boom. Suddenly pictures appear. Super interesting, guys, because there was no history during that time when people were hiding under the ground. And I want you to do your own research, but it is what it is. So analyzing the financial performance, again, was mixed feelings and challenges faced by the Gates Foundation. Oh, another lovely one that we love. The Gates Foundation was one of the largest philanthropic organizations. Remember, guys and gals, I've told you guys that the philanthropic, which are philanthropy, is like charitable foundations. That's what Bill Gates is known for. Remember, I told you that, okay? Remember that the Vatican is about philanthropic organizations, about charitable organizations, because it's very, very simple to get involved and to get people in on your side when you're doing charity things. Like you see people, oh no, we do this. It's a nonprofit organization. First thing people hear, nonprofit. Oh, not for profit. Oh, cool. Yeah, I'll absolutely give it to you. I'll give you these IOUs because you're not profiting. Well, it's a nonprofit. Like they're agreeing to not use the money to go and buy stuff. They're using it to put it in their business to build the business. So call profit what you want. It's a definition of a company. And, I don't choose to be under those forms of definitions because they don't apply to me. And they shouldn't apply to you guys either. Because you guys, you have an equitable position that you can claim, but you got to know what it is first. So the challenges faced by the Gates Foundation, maintaining its mission while Bill Gates remained involved in, Microsoft and other controversial things like filling out a foundation that was going to help people get certain, let's say, how do we say inoculation? How about that? Getting something that below the skin, all right? When we're going below the skin with something that the skin would normally protect. So let me tell you something, guys and gals. If certain chemicals or certain things are put onto the skin will just let it go off. If there's anything that's good and beneficial to that skin, it will absorb it. But it wouldn't absorb that. I'm telling you, none of that stuff, because it's like taking a very a tincture of many different of the elements table and throwing those into like a drink and consuming it. Okay. Except there's different layers of what we have on the skin protects us from getting into the blood, but you can ingest something and still get something that the skin would resist because you ingested it. But then you have the other layer where it goes beyond the skin. You just literally bypassed your security and you said, no. It's like, that would be like going on to your Windows computer, and when it pops up, it says, are you sure you want to perform this action? Your body is saying, oh, hell no. And you're going, no, override. So you hit that button and yep, you get it. They give it to you. So, all right. Yeah, right. No farming for Bill G. Yeah, for sure. Anyway, it's funny how they're buying up all that land, but they're not farming any of it, right? Isn't that crazy? George W. Bush's blind trust. Well, during his presidency, he placed his assets in a blind trust to avoid conflicts of interest. All these guys put these stuff in trusts, guys. You don't know about this, but they actually just move from one persona over to another. They move from being this corporate entity over to being this title. And now they go it's like stepping up into a ranking or echelon of people where these things actually rank, and you're giving it value to the people back without even knowing it, and the people don't even realize that it's happening. Like, this is the hierarchy. They're creating a hierarchy. But the trust of George W. Bush also faced challenges because he couldn't separate business and public duties either. All these things have to, they're just, all they are, when these sort of things are set up, and I don't mean to be negative about it, but these philanthropic things, all they do are like if you could just say, hey, look at this pretty thing over here. Look at this pretty thing. Oh, you see this shiny thing? Poof, and they punch you right in the face. It's like you're looking at the shiny thing and you're like, whoa, and you get punched in the face from the other side because you're not looking. And that's what this is. It's like, oh, no, we're just going to put this trust over here. You don't see this stuff over here. And they literally conceal it. Well, the same things that, maybe you guys and gals could be complaining about how they're corrupt in their ways of doing this. But instead of doing that, my proposal to you guys and gals is to organize yourself and your stuff so that you can have you can have what you need to have to make the decisions that you need to make. You guys have all of the ability to do all the stuff that they're doing. But what we don't know is how to do it, right? You don't know how to do that. You guys don't know how to create some of these things. And because of that, it's you're sitting there. Well, I'm not saying anyone particularly is sitting there. We have a tendency to sit back and look at other people and go, well, they just did this, or they just that, or they that. Well, you guys have the same abilities to do exactly the same thing. This stuff is not rocket science. Let me tell you something. When I started out learning this stuff, I started kind of not on purpose. I wanted to have something to do with the law, but not the way that it went. Believe me when I say that. And now that we are now that a lot of time has passed, when I first started this journey, I look back and I see the things that I could have studied and what would I have done different. Well, I'll tell you right now, I wouldn't have studied statutes, rules, and codes. I would have stayed completely out of that. I would have learned exactly what I'm teaching right now, because everything else sent me straight without a remedy. It's not a remedy. It even says that what I teach is right outside of what the law will give you remedy in, and it's where you need to be. It just is what it is. So the other part is that you guys have to comprehend too, is that this is all trust. Everything is trust. So when these guys go into positions, they create a trust. You guys are trust too. But if you don't declare your own, you fall into somebody else's. And that's just the way it is. You either declare your own or you fall into someone else's. And if you fall into someone else's, then you're just being a great gifter of stuff. You're donating a lot of stuff that you would never, ever consciously do on your own. You would never voluntarily. If you knew everything that was behind what was going on, you would never voluntarily do that. Okay. So the trust in Trump's business, moving on to political activities, the trust in and Trump's businesses, his interests had a lot of significant impacts on his presidency. And decisions that seemed to favor his properties, he had a couple of those. He had campaign funding shenanigans. The political implications were endless. Many donors like Miriam Adelson played a crucial role in supporting his political campaigns through trusts and super PACs. Because nothing says democracy like a few $1 billion in a campaign contributions, right? The trust's impact on Trump's presidency was profound. Policy decisions and executive actions, okay, often intersected with Trump's business interests. Instances such as the U.S. government's lease of Trump Tower space for the Secret Service, interesting, and hosting of foreign delegations at Trump properties highlighted the blurred lines between Trump's public duties and private gains. Critics argued that these decisions demonstrated a failure to fully separate Trump's business and political roles, leading to ethical and legal challenges. Campaign funding and support through trusts and super PACs were critical to Trump's political activities. Major donors, I already talked to you guys about that. Preserve America, super PAC. Preserve America, a super PAC supporting Trump's political goals, was a key player in the 2024 election strategy, or is, should I say. Funded by wealthy donors, it aims to influence electoral outcomes and promote Trump's policy agenda. The super PAC's activities and financial strategies were indicative of the broader political machinery supporting Trump's ambitions. Preserve America's efforts included extensive advertising campaigns, voter outreach programs, and strategic partnerships with other political organizations. So, a couple of other related stories to this that are interesting is the Koch brothers, Koch, influence on politics. Charles and David Koch used trusts and super PACs to exert significant influence on American politics. So you guys can look back in the history of the Koch brothers. Their financial contributions shaped political campaigns and policy agendas. It highlighted the power of wealthy donors in the electoral process. So this stuff, what we see as being like money is not what it is. It's just accounting moving back and forth. And unfortunately, it's moving back. It's moving to us, but it never moves away from us because we never make an account of what we're doing or anything that we're not being accountable in anything that we're doing. I'm just saying, I'm letting you guys know. Political action committees, which are the PACs in PACs, in Barack Obama's campaign during his presidential campaigns, leveraged political action committees to fund electoral efforts. So he got these committees, these PACs, these political action committees to fund his electoral efforts through campaigns. And the role of the PACs in campaign funding underscores the importance of financial support in modern politics. So it just is what it is. I don't want to overuse that, but it is what it is. All right. I'm going to move this on here. Okay, cool. And, oh, it's not that. Okay, well, maybe not. All right, here we go again. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to find my screen here. There we go. All right, there it is. Boy, challenges at learning technology. Criticism and support for Trump's trust agreement were polarized by the man himself. Critics argued it was ineffective and ethically dubious. Supporters claimed that it was a brilliant move. Comparing Trump's trust arrangement with those of other wealthy politicians, it's like comparing apples and oranges, but both are wrapped in legalese. I will tell you that that was brilliant. If you think about the history of how this all went down. So you throw a man who has been in and out of politics all his life onto a television program where he's now on prime time for You're Fired. That's how he's known. You're fired. Okay. And then they promote that in the media and the news over and over and over, continue to give that as positive reinforcement. So even while he's not doing that, he's getting positive reinforcement for what he has done. So it's consistently mentally feeding you positive. There's nothing wrong with this. Even though when that happens, when the time comes, you're going, wait, this isn't wrong. But you've always been reinforced with, there's nothing wrong with this. Consistently, not by saying there's nothing wrong with this, by saying that these things are accepted, or by showing that these things are accepted, is that conveyance. We got to remember that there's not just one way to get a message. Things that we don't see in your subconscious is the most powerful. Things that you don't see, you will follow. And that's why we sometimes do things we don't know, because we don't realize that we see them being done. The lack of transparency and the involvement of Trump's family members in the trust management were key points of contention as well. These guys created, okay, think about this. They created two parties, okay, Democrats, Republicans. Then they create, inside of those two parties, they create competition with other people, right? And then they get one of them. So you're divided either one way or another. So you're divided there. If you're not divided there, you're divided among the other candidates that exist. So by the time that they got you guys, you don't even know what you're voting for, or who's doing what, or who has what. By the time it gets down to where you're making a decision, or you're supposed to make a decision, you don't even have enough information to go and make any sort of decisions at all, because you've only been given a small piece of the information, and someone else may have another piece of the same story, but it's just a different piece of that information, and they're going on that. So when you guys figure, like, seriously, when you figure this out, like, you're getting maybe 1/1,000,000th of the truth and the rest is all just lies. I don't want to say it that much. Maybe it's 1/100,000th of the truth. Okay, that's a little more accurate. And if they're saying that it's 1/100,000th of the truth, then you're probably not going to see truth in this lifetime. Like, all of it is a lie. All of it, every bit of it. Okay. You cannot be. Okay. So let's go back again. I want to give you this, guys, again, because I saw this today. Someone made a comment about this, how it says in the scripture that Lord is also God, but Lord is not God. I'm telling you guys, Lord is not God. Do you think God would have created another name that says, call me Lord? Lord was created by the same people that created the stuff that's telling you that Lord is a king as well. Because if you go look exactly at the inauguration of Benjamin Franklin, George Washington, go look at George Washington's inauguration, okay? And you will see where it says, long live George Washington, okay? Before that, when a king was appointed or anointed, long live the king. So they didn't go any far. They just didn't say king. They said George Washington, because the people would pick up on long live the king. And they're like, wait a second. We're not serfs. What are you calling us? Why are you calling him a king? He's not our king. But then they go and do everything around that says that he's a king. Well, look at Commander-in-Chief, right? It's a nobility title, folks, during wartime. What do you think this is? Like, it is what it is. And I'm not being discriminatory. You just need to know what is happening and know that it's happening so that you can just be aware of who you are. Because there's a lot of people out here that are volunteering to do things and be things. They volunteered to be titles of things that they don't even know that they are. And right now, you're in a military zone until you choose to be outside of that. And you have to know what that means. You can't just say, well, I don't want to be in that. You have to know what it means, because it's your actions every single day that you do that puts you in this zone. And it's not giving the notices that you require that keep you there. So it's easy, very simple to get there. It's very hard to stay out, but it's worth it to stay out because the rights that you have. And I'll tell you something else. The only reason it's hard to stay out is because you were taught to stay in. You were taught all the things that would put you back into that system. And that is in their trust. It's like, everybody wants you to be a part of their trust because, well, it's their trust. Like, have you ever played with anybody in a playground or something when you were a kid? And you're like, okay, I want to be the leader. Here's what we're going to do, right? We've done that before. We've all done that. And now it's like your turn. So maybe some people don't like to be leaders, but some people like to be the one that make the rule. Okay, I'm going to count now, and then you're going to count. And, we just like to have that position. Some people do. Some people don't care. so much. I'm not so much about that anymore. I don't care about that. I don't really I didn't really want to do this. I just don't know anybody else that could do it. So here I am. I mean, I love helping people. Don't get me wrong. I love helping people and I love finding answers to stuff, but I don't really want to be up on a TV and stuff. Honestly, I just don't know how any other way to teach people how to do what I'm teaching. And there's only one way. I'm trying to figure out the most effective way that I learned, because it certainly wasn't through, I mean, indoctrination works great until you realize that there's other choices. And then that creates animosity in people. And understandably so, folks, right? I mean, you don't have to I mean, it doesn't take a whole lot to realize that, people are going to be upset when when they find out that stuff isn't the truth. Certain things aren't what you've said that they are, and people will be upset at that. And you'll go through different you're going to go through different phases. All of you guys and gals are going to go through different phases of this. You're going to have phases where you feel like you've just been totally, the bottom of your glass has been just dropped out from under you. Like if you've ever poured hot water into a glass and the bottom breaks off, or maybe you've taken a beer bottle. I used to do this a lot when I was younger. Take a beer bottle, somebody's drinking, and you tap your beer bottle on top of theirs. And sometimes the bottom of those beer bottles would just fall out and all the beer would fall with it. So you lose the whole damn beer. Well, that's kind of what that is. It's like when we're on this shenanigan to, there's a power struggle going on for other people. And our trust is really, it just comes down to this. Our trust is to protect our stuff. It's not to accumulate riches and become wealthy or anything like that, because quite honestly, you have creator's wealth. There's abundance everywhere, man. You just got to learn to keep what you got. That's all it is. Keep what you got. And that's what we're going to call this next trust class, the Keep What You Got tour, because it's that's what it is. It's about retention. It's about acquisition and retention. Once you get something, and no one knows, people don't know what it's like to have anything. I mean, you guys say, no, I got a car. It's out front. Yeah, well, you have the equitable title to that car, but you're not holding the legal title. And when it comes down to money or ownership, you're done. You're done. It doesn't show anything that it's benefiting you for any reason. It has 100% liability. Until you change that, okay, it's going to affect you. So that's what this tour is going to be about. Okay, so the trust impact on Trump's presidency again was chaotic policy decisions, executive actions. Okay, that's what they're working on us on executive actions right now. So, or executive orders, you should say. These are just written orders that the president makes based upon a suspension of current processes because it's considered an emergency time. And you'll find that it has been an emergency since emergency powers were declared. And everything, it's just always creating something that's creating an emergency. It might be like when I was in Texas for the summer, they had emergencies for fires. So fire warning emergencies. Like they were calling an emergency right there. And the notice is those big signs on the side of the road. When you see those signs, it says fire warning, fire danger, that's a notice. Like that's the state giving notice that we're under emergency powers. So instead of telling you have lesser rights than you did, they just put that fire warning out there. And then all of the legislation says, if you go look up a fire warning, okay, what's a fire warning say? Fire warning says that the governor can issue this if this and this and this. Well, what happens during it? Well, then these rights are suspended and this right, and they can do this and they can do this and they can. It just like shifts all of your rights, folks. They just literally went from the basket or the pocket of you guys who have all the rights to make decisions over to this man who's now making decisions for under a made up emergency because we don't even know the difference between the two. So we have to learn. Those are things we got to learn. Excuse me. Once we learn those things, then we put ourselves better in tune with where we're going with stuff. So the trust impact on the presidency was pretty big. Campaign funding and support through trusts and super PACs significantly also affected his campaign. Major donors contributed, and leveraging trusts to funnel funds. Okay, so they would use a trust and say, "Oh, this trust is going to be over here," and then they would put the money into the trust, and then they'd say, "Oh, this trust just wanted to grant this and make a donation to this," so they would go through one channel to make it go through this to make it look like it was just a donation from something else. When actually, if you traced it down, it goes from this place to this trust. From the trust is a donation, and it's all owned by the same people. They just created this circuit now that allows it to go around, so it doesn't go straight through. Because going straight through would tell everybody what it's doing. So it goes around, and now it circumvents all of the visibility by all the people. Nobody can see where it goes around. So no one pays attention. And again, another, oh, look at this pretty shiny thing over here. Poof. Okay. Preserve America was his super PAC, and it was a key player in the 2024 that we said, funded by wealthy donors, wealthy donors. I don't know what the contribution amount was in that, but it was a lot. And so comparing Trump's trust arrangement with those of other wealthy politicians, it reveals a spectrum of approaches managing conflicts of interest. Figures like Mitt Romney and Michael Bloomberg implemented different strategies to separate their business interests from public duties. Romney placed his assets in a blind trust during his gubernatorial and presidential campaigns, while Bloomberg maintained significant control over his media empire, but took steps to mitigate conflicts. So some of them were put it in trust, and some of them just worked the stuff out, like in outside of trust. Analyzing these comparisons highlights the unique challenges and criticism faced by Trump. Each approach has its own advantages and limitations, and reflecting the complexity of balancing personal wealth with public service, or personal wealth with your public involvement, and generally for you guys. Mitt Romney had an offshore trust and tax shelters. He used offshore trusts and tax shelters during his presidential campaign and sparked debates about ethics and legality of such financial strategies. The critics argued that these practices highlighted the challenges of ensuring transparency and fairness in the financial dealings of public figures. These guys I'm telling you, these guys are all masters of this stuff. And you guys think like, oh, Trump's an idiot. He's an idiot. And they're idiots. And even Biden, I mean, you guys think he's like, bleh. And you know what? Every day they watch their accounting go up. And so it's just play, man. It's just, you go to work every day and you play the fool, you play the joker, you play whatever it is you got to play. Like somebody gives you the play and they say, here, read this script. And you say, okay, I'm playing the role in the play, and you accept the role and you go and do it every day. And you have another role when you go home with your family. But this is your role in front of all these people that are viewing, that are considered the mass public. And they tune into you to see what happens. They are influenced by your decisions. And so you have to show them exactly what it is you want them to do. And so you have to put on a show while you're there. And sometimes it involves being like looking like a buffoon, like an idiot, like you don't know what you're doing, so that people will lose faith in the system as it exists. Okay. Let me tell you something. This is psychological, because when they take this away from you right now and they say, oh, it's a joke in there, everybody's like, you start to mentally see this. Oh, this is a joke. There's got to be something better. So now they've created a problem. Oh my gosh, we got a problem in there. So what's the solution? Well, to get him out of there, well, who are we going to put in? Well, we can't put in a felon, right? Can't do that. That's our world coming. Oh my gosh, the world is coming to an end. Look at this. Oh, look at all this stuff just from this side and this side. That's the way people register stuff. Okay. That's the way they want you to register stuff. But if you just say, I don't care, you guys go run your trust, I got my own here. Like, this is your business. Mr. Trump, Miss Pelosi, Mr. Romney, all you guys, like, I love you guys as people. If you are that, I don't even know what you are. Like, it's okay. Like, you exist here and I exist here, or you at least exist on TV. I don't know. Maybe you are under the ground hiding somewhere already and you just are coming out and making up stuff. I'm okay with that too. Like, if you're AI, I'm okay with that too. Because guess what? I have a knob on my TV. Well, I don't anymore. I used to have a knob on my TV with a VHF and a UHF, and I could select between the two. And most of you guys don't even know what that is. Anyway, the whole controversy behind all this stuff that has been created is that we're not given full information. We're not given enough to be able to make a decision on our own. We're not given insight on intel, I should say, or data that would allow us to make a decision. And when I give you guys some of that information that it exists, I have seen that many of you, not all of you, not every one of you, and certainly not some people that are not here today, but many of you handle it with very, very, like, you guys are super honorable. I'm telling you, you guys are super honorable. And I've actually, like, I consider myself honorable in my actions. You guys have actually taught me some things along the way in your, in the way you've done things and the way I've seen, just different, it's just different ways of doing stuff. You learn different customs, and you guys might like some of the things that I do, and I might like some of the things that you do, or, I might see something that someone does that's unique, that's different, that I'm like, wow, that's kind of cool. I like that. And I'm not afraid to tell you about it because, well, it's interesting, right? It's your idea. It's your creation. And I see that a lot of you are becoming very creative in your ways, and you're learning stuff, but you're learning it so that it applies to you. Like, hey, this is mine from the root of the foundation. Like, I have created things before, and I've been like, oh yeah, I'm going to go create one of those sweatshirts, or go, I don't know, maybe, let's see, what have I created? I don't know. Let's just say, I don't know, you create something and you create something unique. Well, some of the things you're going to take from other ideas, because maybe a bouquet of flowers is, well, it's a bouquet, right? And that's why it's called a bouquet, because it's a bunch of flowers put together, right? But you want to have not just a average bouquet, you want to have the most amazing bouquet. So what does that involve? Well, sometimes that involves getting more knowledge so that you can move on to more amazing, and acquiring that knowledge and taking that knowledge in and utilizing that for your own self so that it benefits you. And as we do that with time, we learn that, there's many things that we can do better. There's really, really easy ways of doing stuff. And quite honestly, I want to make one other comment about this, is that, and I was talking to somebody about it today, is that we're not taught to give valuable consideration. You're taught to be a victim. We're taught from a very young age that we are victims. We're taught that we are born into sin, that you come into this world and you're automatically damaged goods, and you got to work the rest of your life to strive to make yourself even worthy. And okay, so that's the narrative. That's what they say. That's your message to you, okay? So then you go look at, where's the message come from? Okay, where's the message come from? Wait, it comes from all these people. All what people? All these people that are right here. All these people that are in this realm. It comes from all these people. And then you go look later in the evening in the news, and you see all these people in the news for doing wrong things which are exactly the opposite of what they just told you to do. Or they're wrong things contradicting what they're preaching. So you have to know that your way, even if you don't know any way, is your way. You might be able to use someone else's design to follow something similar, but they're not going to have your way. No one has your way. Your way is inside. It's right here. It doesn't exist outside of your being. And people looking for answers outside of their being aren't going to find answers outside their being. Someone asked me today, why is it that I'm always writing them on comments on a social media? And I said, your perception of me writing you is your perception of you have, because I don't have that perception at all. And if it comes across like that, I even went back and read my message. I thought, well, maybe it is perceived that way, because if someone says it's perceived that way, it must be that way, because that's equity, right? I'm giving the benefit of the doubt. Equity sees done that which ought to be done. I'm not doubting whether they did it. But then I looked at it again and I thought, there's nothing to this at all except their conscience. It's saying they know they're not doing something right, and they're commenting on it back to me. It's a reflection of ourselves, folks. Like, it's a direct reflection of ourselves. When people do that, when they throw something back at you and they mirror it to you, they're telling you what their perception of it is. And like, it's pretty profound, because you can find out what people are really thinking because they're subconsciously saying it and reflecting it on you to make it seem like you're doing it, but it's really their own conscience coming out and speaking on their behalf. So you guys will, I don't know if you guys do that, but I like come right out and I'll say, that's a reflection of you. You need to go inside for that answer, because I don't have that answer. I don't. When someone comes at me and says that I'm coming at them a certain way, maybe they perceive that, but when I go back and I say, okay, well, this is not, there's nothing negative in this at all. It's just a comment, and it's a general comment, because, well, if somebody is doing something that is lesser than what God gave you, I'm going to tell you, hey, do you want to be a secondary citizen, or would you like to be up there with the main guy? Because I want you to be up there with the main guy, every one of you. Seriously. I mean, that's truly the way I feel about it. Like, why would you go and choose something lesser? Why? Because you don't know. Okay. And then there's other people that don't know that will be willing to help the people that don't know to not know more. I mean, they're getting closer, but not knowing is not knowing. You don't know. And when you get offended by stuff, when people ask you about questions or make suggestions that you could have higher rights, then if you take that the wrong way, if you take that as offensively, then they're not going to help you again. I'm just telling you guys, like, I'm not interested in controversy. I'll put out stuff. If I see somebody is misled in some way, I'll put it out there and I'll say, hey, look at this, because there's more to this. Or I'll put the quote. I mean, because I don't have to argue with a maxim, right? Equity sees done that which ought to be done. Or when I say something like, equity sees the beneficiary as the true owner. I didn't make that up. Why are you coming to me? Like, go talk to Henry Gibson or Pomeroy or somebody. I don't know. Like, don't bust my chops for this. Like, how come you're always after me? Like, if that maxim really bothered you that much, then you need to go look at that maxim more. Like, if the Black Widow spider scared you that much, then you need to go read about the Black Widow spider. It just is what it is. Let's just keep it real, folks. So the lessons Trump learned from presidency will inform future policies aimed at preventing similar conflicts, if there are future president conflicts. And the trust's effectiveness in addressing ethical concerns will be a key consideration in shaping these policies. So, speculating on future developments, it's likely that reforms will be implemented to strengthen ethical guidelines for public officials. Of course, what that means is policy changes. The ongoing scrutiny of presidential ethics will continue to shape the landscape for American politics, and potential reforms could include stricter requirements for asset divestiture, enhanced property or enhance transparency measures and effectively separate personal and public interests, utilizing conflicts and maintaining public trust. So, in other words, they're not going to do anything that's going to change anything because it's not going to change. Stuff is not going to change. It just will not change. They're going to keep stuff the same. They're going to create a new trust. They're going to keep the new round of people fooled so that they don't ever learn about it. And that's what it's just going to keep repeating the same thing over and over. And you guys can look back and you can see where the same people that were in place before are just repeating the same thing that their family members did before. And some of this familial relationship involves incestual relations, so like cousins and stuff. And yeah, that's a different podcast. Anyway, future development and financial disclosures, obviously that's going to be a key role in the future. So coming to an end on this, despite not being a trustee, Trump retained significant influence through close family ties, and this arrangement allowed for indirect control over the trust's decisions. Trump's ability to receive updates and financial information about the trust's operations further complicated the perceived separation. So the trust's operations lacked transparency, making it challenging to track financial flows and assets, the true separation of Trump's business interests from his presidential duties. The limited public disclosure of the trust's activities fueled suspicions and criticisms. The trust structure provided Trump with strategic advantages in both business and political areas, leveraging his assets to influence political outcomes and policy decisions. The interplay between Trump's business empire and his political activities highlighted the complexities of managing dual roles. As the ultimate beneficiary of the trust, Trump continued to benefit financially from his business empire, although he was not directly involved with its management. His role as a beneficiary allowed him to receive profits from the trust while maintaining formal separation from its operations. This is the way many of the presidencies, or all of the presidencies, work as well. They placed all of their stuff into trust and they become the beneficiary. Trustee responsibilities, Donald Jr., Eric Trump, and Alan Wasserberg were responsible for managing the trust, managing key business decisions, and ensuring compliance with legal ethical guidelines. And the roles were crucial in maintaining the trust operations and addressing the challenges posed by Trump's presidency. The trustees' decisions and actions were subject to political and legal strategy or scrutiny as well, reflecting the high stakes involved in managing the Trump organization. So that is the extent of our podcast for today. The interesting thing about all of this is that it comes down to we have a choice that we're simply not making because we don't know it exists. And some of us might find out that an option exists, but we can't see the end or even know what the end might have in store for us. So we never make the move to go on to that. And we know that someone said something a long time ago and it's important, but we don't know what exactly is important. And we don't learn often until we run into situations that involve, well, desperate times and desperate measures. And at that time, it's too late because you have an opportunity right now when you don't have any problems to create notices that will be effective in making sure that you're not held accountable for anything that you're not liable for. But if you wait and you don't do it, well, equity will not aid a volunteer. So I tell you guys that, I wish you well in all that you do, but I tell you that, you have to take responsibility of some of these things in your lives, and you have to start learning about what sort of things you got into and learn whether you're eligible or not to be out of that system where you don't have to, where you are liable for things, because there is another system that exists where there is no liability. And that is merely by knowing thyself. And it takes a lot more than just, a YouTube podcast or, one single class or even a document to learn that. It's a journey, but at least, other people that have been down that road and myself can show you how exactly that's done, the steps to take to do it. And we're going to begin with that. So just I hope you guys will tune in. Make sure you get on the website, www.lonewolfpack.net. It's on the right down here. And then there is a class that is going to be on Tuesday, I think Tuesday. And it is in the evening. So it's 7 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. It's going to be 9 o'clock for you guys on the East Coast. It's kind of later in the night, but, and I don't really do late very well, but I'm going to do it anyway. And I'm going to teach you guys some things that were stolen from me. So simple as that. I'm going to show you guys some stuff that other people has stolen, and I'm just going to make it real so that you guys can use it and put it in your arsenal. And I want you guys to also get an idea of how we're doing over here, what we're doing. And those of you that are not a part of it, again, go to the website, join, sign up for the class. It's a free class. It is a free class. This is not going to be like a slacker class or anything like that. I'm going to show you guys exactly how to do what people are paying big money to do. Okay. Big money. So I'm going to show you guys that in a free class, but you got to register for that class on Tuesday, and it's on the website. Just go and give your information. I'm not looking to get your information. Okay. All I want to do is know who's attending these classes, who's going to be there with me, because I want to know who's in my class. That's all. It's my trust. So welcome. I welcome you to my trust to learn about how you're going to do your trust. Anyways, I appreciate you guys so much. You guys have an amazing day. Let me make sure. I want to check something here really quick. Let's see. All right. I want to make sure I don't have any questions. No questions. Okay, cool. Well, you guys have a great day, and I am out of here. Have a good day. Thanks, guys.